Broadcasting from the Blanchistan Centre. This is Phoenix FM.
Hey everybody, it is Monday night here on Phoenix 92.5 FM, but it's not because we're taping this old school. It sounds like a podcast from 2003. This is Rescue at the WViDesk. My name is Darragh O'Connor, and I'm joined by Mr. Brin at work. Brin, how are you, sir?
What's up, everyone? I'm very, very good. How are you doing?
Good, man, good. We have to apologise for our dip in sound quality. We can't make it to the studio, and my computer has decided to die, so we had to go super, uber duper low tech. And kind of carry on as such, but it's weird. This reminds me of when we used to have to do the show in Rome. You weren't on the show at the time, but Corey and Evan used to do the show, and it was just ridiculous.
Yeah, I remember having to run out of Belfield FM once when Corey was doing that, because obviously I couldn't be there when he was doing the show.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That was actually he used to do the show from Belfield FM. While I was in Rome. That was insane. I forgot about that. Because I never saw the other side of it. I was just like, oh, well, the guys obviously have time to do this. And he was in college. It's insane. But, we have an awful lot to get through this week. And, the past couple of weeks, before we went on there today, we're talking about a bunch of different things that we may or may not do with the YouTube channel. Because a lot of things, obviously, we're hosting channels. Oh my god, what a great show. But and also WViDesk.com is our website, and we do own that again. So thank you to Adam Martin for setting that up. That was awesome of him from
beyond the grave, Adam Martin.
For setting that up. And again, guys, do go over and check out our YouTube channel if you're listening to this on Phoenix FM, or vice versa, because there are a lot of things coming. We're talking about doing some video series. We're talking about doing you want to do more content, pretty much fresh content, and obviously past shows as well. All our shows are hosted for free on WViDesk.com anyway, thanks to the mega upload link. So guys, there's loads of content out there, and of course we're on iTunes as well, thanks to the Trey and Athem show, which is also Rest of You Media now, so you can search either one of them, but do try to go for Rest of You Media, because that is the new official banner that a lot of stuff is going under, and that's where you can find our podcasted shows. But we have taken a bit of a break, Brin. We haven't done a fresh show in a very long time.
Yeah.
Pretty much for two reasons. One, time, trying to get my schedule back together, and also technology, because we tried to do a show last night and the whole thing just died. So, but it kind of worked out well, because we're taping.
That's what happens. That's what happens when Rusty's in charge while we're away.
Yeah. We left Rusty in charge, and the place burned down pretty much. So, we have to kind of get that fixed.
Rusty.
God dang it, Rusty. But yes, there are a lot of happenings in the world of wrestling, and I'm kind of glad as well at the same time, because Raw happened last night. We're recording this on the 10th, so guys, full disclosure, it will go out earlier on YouTube and probably Rescue, but it will go out on Monday. Or if something big happens, we might record a new one, but full disclosure right now. So the main thing that happened last night was the return of the Shield.
Yeah.
And that's huge. There's a lot of news. I can't even I don't know how we're going to cover all this in an hour, but the Shield returned.
We'll try.
Yeah, the Shield returned last night, and that's awesome. We'll get into why they're doing that, why WWE feel that's needed, and people are like, oh, it's obvious, but it may not be obvious to everybody. But before we get into WWE and talk about Hell in a Cell and No Mercy and all that kind of stuff, I want to talk about the news that hammered my inbox today. Absolutely just smashed. This is that Athem and Impact Wrestling have launched the Global Wrestling Network. So this is, and I'm sorry for laughing, but It's hilarious. You know, the actual like graphic for it features Hulk Hogan, Sting, and Kurt Angle, and AJ Styles. All, you know, guys who are either retired. One of them was Hulk Hogan, so you know it's bad news as it is. And then you have Kurt Angle and AJ Styles. So it's like, okay, so the future of our whole network is in the past, and that's what I see here. So the pitch for it is that watch classic Impact matches, and legendary pay-per-views anywhere. Listen, I love Impact Wrestling, you know, for what it was. None of the pay-per-views would I ever describe as legendary, except for Victory Road 2009, and that was for all the wrong reasons.
Bound for Glory 2005 is really good.
Okay, well,
I wouldn't call it legendary.
Hardcore Justice is legendary bad.
Yeah. No, but I mean, Bound for Glory 2005 is probably the best show, top to bottom, they ever put out.
Yeah, like I do like
again, even saying that it's not legendary, it's just good.
Yeah,
you know,
like 2005 to 2007 is TNA's best year. You know, what's it? Unbreakable is a fantastic show as well.
Yeah. I think there's an argument to be made that once Joe lost the title in 2008, it just never recovered.
Yeah.
It just never. Even then, that title was put on him a year too late.
Yes, I actually remember I was my first foray into the wrestling media. I was, you know, some people may notice, some people may not. I was brought in as the TNA guy to talk TNA. For a Dublin-based radio show, and I remember specifically standing outside. I can't remember, I think it was somewhere out in UCD. I was standing outside talking about that very subject when Joe won. You know, was it too late, and should he have won earlier? And yeah, at the time then, which is 9 years ago, it's like, yeah, it was too late then.
Yeah.
It was too late for that whole.
The match where he won it was incredible, but still, like it.
Yeah, the match where he won it was incredible, but you know, Joe never really had a bad match at that point and time in TNA. You know, it wasn't where you would look at him and go, oh, you know, it's a bad match for Joe.
Yeah.
You know, like I never recall him. You know, even when he had like the squash matches with the X Division guys, that was still built up to something. When he had the match with Sabu, and Sabu had a broken arm in a cage, and that was just.
But like those were like weirdly competitive squash matches.
Yes,
like,
exactly.
You know, where you would let people.
Sorry, go on.
So it was like, it was weird. They were weirdly competitive, where like guys would get enough stuff in that they would. It's like, oh look, they can actually compete. But then the story would always be that like Joe just has way too much quality.
Yeah, exactly. Joe was a force of nature, and that's how they booked him. You know, where he was just going to come in and destroy people. And it's what they've been doing in WWE now as well. They've kind of tapped into that and even developed it. And that's the only way you book someone with Joe. We know within a year he was walking around with a penis on his head, you know, and it was just like on his face, get abducted by Van.
It's so weird to think like 9 months before, if you were to tell someone 9 months before he won the title, that it's like, oh yeah, 9 months later he's gonna have a penis on his face and be called a nation of violence and carry around a machete and never use it.
And then get abducted, and then just get abducted one week, and you know they never mention it again. And this is all stuff that happened. This was all you know written and signed off, and you know people got paid way too much money to be like, yeah man, you know that's a great idea. You know, Joe should have
didn't get paid at all.
Well, Russo got paid, and he was the one who was writing it all. So you know, who was a bigger fool? You know, but like I can't. Gary once said on this show, and I think you said it as well, it's a case of the Me Too syndrome. And that's what this screamed at. You know, it's like, you know, oh, I have a network. Me too. It's like, what? No, and I wouldn't mind. It's $7.99 per month. Who's going to buy this? Like,
you know what like really annoys me about that is like, do you know how much New Japan World is?
I think it's like $5, isn't it?
Yeah. With conversion, it's about $5.
Yeah.
You know how much the High Spots network is?
Cheaper than that again.
No, High Spots is about $9 a month, but
Okay, fair.
you get like High Spots, you get so much for it. You get all the shoot interviews they've ever done. You get
Really?
PWG.
Wow.
Yeah. No, I was checking up on the High Spots because I'm gonna get it when I can afford it
Yeah.
because like it's just an insanely good deal.
But see, that's
Like,
worth it. Like the WWE Network is
yeah,
worth it as well, even if you're not watching the current product, because they have a tape library, and the tape library is extensive and covers
yeah.
like six. I think
Also,
it's
NXT pays on its own,
exactly.
in my opinion.
No, exactly. But like, if you're
Yeah.
not watching wrestling, like period, you just want to go back and watch pay-per-views, or you want to watch WCW shows, or you want to watch, AWA or any of that. They're all there, and they have the documentaries. But like with this, it's like, okay, why? Like, yeah, the
So you
TNA,
can watch 2 years of pay-per-views.
yeah, it's like the 2 years which I have on DVD that I bought then, and they're signed by a
I'd
bunch
love
of
to watch
guys.
those again, but I'm not going to pay $7.99 so I can watch them.
Yeah, it's
You
like,
know,
look, the TNA tape, and this people are like, oh, but you were saying the TNA tape library has value. Yes, it does. It has some value as
how much
part.
it was like had more value than WWE were willing to pay for it.
Yes,
But
but it has. Here's the thing: the TNA tape library has value inside a bigger sphere. For example, if it was part of the WWE network or part of another network that offered other wrestling, yeah, man, that's a great grab. But on its own, it's like TNA can't get people to buy their shows as it is.
no,
No one's going to pay for real. Like WWE struggles to get subscribers, and that's WWE.
yeah.
People know what that is. When
Also,
you like
yeah. Also, like when you
Impact
look
Wrestling don't
at
even
how
know it's there.
WWE, but also when you look at how WWE are doing their house shows and stuff at the moment as well, where like all their numbers are down.
Yeah, exactly.
So, and
And it's just this seems like on paper everyone's like, oh, this is a great thing for Impact Wrestling, Global Force Wrestling, TNA. Let's change our name next week. It's like at a time where they went from being TNA to Impact Wrestling to Global Force Wrestling, then back to Impact Wrestling. This is what they decide to do. This is what they think is a good idea to just launch again. And as I said, my inbox got absolutely hammered from emails from Anthem, from TNA, from from pretty much everyone involved in that area. And I'm like, great, that's cool for me because we're in the wrestling media and stuff. But if I say to anybody, hey, do you know what Impact Wrestling is? Who isn't a active wrestling fan? They're not going to know what I'm talking about.
yeah, they're also way more likely to think that you're talking about a porn parody of wrestling just
Yeah,
because of the name.
it does actually. Well, that's the thing that TNA always kind of had, where like
Yeah,
anything got to do with it, it sounds like
they should just get
porn.
sponsored by Brazzers and be done with it.
It's like, what are you guys trying to do? Just pick a better name. I don't know. I look, fair play to them for doing it. I have to say that's pretty cool. It shows that Anthem at least have some sort of faith in them. But like the expense in doing a streaming on demand service is probably, well, no, it's not probably. It is huge. It is
Yeah.
absolutely astronomical to have, from servers, maintenance, and all that kind of stuff. And this is a company that,
Mm.
remember, reports are coming out that people are still not getting paid. IT guys
Yeah.
are pretty expensive, and servers are expensive, and this is what they're pinning their
Also,
future
do you
on.
remember how much WWE said they would need how many subscribers they would need to break even for
Yeah,
their network?
it was like 1 million.
1 million subscribers.
Yeah,
Ugh.
it's like, man, what? Like, again, they were fine the way they were. Things seem to be turning a corner, even though arguably it was not getting better, but it didn't seem like it was painful. And
Yeah,
now they're just throwing it all away with both hands.
yeah.
With
That
both
just seems to be
hands.
the way of it with them.
I don't understand this move. This screams that they want to have a Me Too, and that's all this is. I have a network, and
Like, honestly, I think it's just a case of like, when you consider how many wrestling companies have on-demand services right now, like, they're probably one of the last ones to get one. Like Progress
Yeah,
Wrestling have one, for God's sake.
yeah, but
You know?
people go to Progress Wrestling shows.
Yes, yes,
And
they do.
and the
But
thing
like,
about
you know
it
what
is,
I mean, though.
no, but like, yeah, I know what you mean. But like, let's look at it. Let's look at it from. I'm sure it's a lot cheaper than it was when WWE were like the first ones to really push for it, and they probably do have some sort of deal where it's not as expensive as it was. However, Progress sell
Yeah,
insane. What's
they're,
it?
they're trying to sell at
ICW
Wembley
sell.
next year. Of course, they sell well.
Yeah, ICW sell.
You know.
You know, UFC obviously they're not wrestling, but they have an on-demand service that sells, and still they do pay-per-views. I don't see how TNA can look at the numbers and go, yeah, you know what we need? We need this. And it's like, no, like
Like, I mean,
you're Bound for Glory is in 2 weeks, and there's zero buzz about it.
like if they were smart, they would be a part of a wider network, as you said, with like Anthem or Sports thing. They surely have an on-demand service that Impact should be a part of.
Yeah, like no. Here's
Oh,
the thing: if
like,
if it was bundled with another wrestling promotion, or was bundled with
or even just with
MMA or
MMA or
anything,
something. Yeah,
anything, just not on its own. It's not on its own. $7 is an awful lot of money over a year to just shell out on something that a lot of people wouldn't even watch for free.
yeah.
You know, and that's the truth of it. And look, if people are like, you're a Tina hater, I'm the furthest thing from it. I'm just concerned that this will be, it will be sitting here in a year going, well, that was stupid. So we're saving time. We're saying it now. TNA, that's really stupid.
Yeah.
This is not good. Anyway, speaking of house shows, I will have to say this real quick because I probably will go to it because I haven't gone to a house show in a long time. WWE are returning to the Tree Arena this November. So again, this applies to our Irish listeners listening at Phoenix 92.5 FM. Guys, if you are going, do let us know. And at the time, send in your text and all that kind of stuff. But check this out, man. The card is pretty interesting, I have to say. So the main event is a WWE Championship match, Fatal 5-Way. AJ Styles, Nakamura, Baron Corbin, Kevin Owens, and Jinder Mahal with the Singh brothers. So that's pretty cool to actually see Shinsuke Nakamura. Fun. Yeah, look, I'd pay just to see Shinsuke Nakamura and AJ Styles, but that's cool. I've never actually seen a Fatal 5-Way.
Kevin Owens and I'm a happy boy.
Oh yeah, like this is usually one of the reasons why I didn't actually go to house shows in a long time was because they have Raw, and the Raw cards are always cack. But this is actually really decent.
Yeah, it was really good. That's really good.
SmackDown Tag Team Championship match: The New Day versus the Usos.
Oh, good.
So that's pretty good. That was one of the best matches on Sunday. Sami Zayn versus Rusev.
That should be a good match. I'd expect Rusev to win, but Sam will bump like a trooper for him.
Yeah, Sami's going to bounce around like a fish, so
Yeah.
Bobby Roode versus Dolph Ziggler.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
Based on their chemistry. Ugh.
I am happy to see Bobby Roode again, though. Bobby Roode is. I'm glad that he's actually like getting to a big arena, because every time I've seen Bobby Roode, he's been in like a tiny arena or the half-empty arena or anything like that, so it's kind of cool to see him at the Tree Arena when it's full. So it's like, hey man, this is going to be different because last time you were in Ireland it was like a bingo hall, so it is what it is. And then
here's a weird thing. If I went to that show, the last time I would have seen Bobby Roode and Xavier Woods, they would have worked for a different company.
Yeah.
Yeah, they would have worked for TNA.
It's funny actually, like
if I went to see it. I keep up to remind myself that Xavier worked for them.
Yeah, well, he didn't do well, but he did work with them.
Yeah.
He was
very green at the time.
He was very green. But like, I think like the TNA, like a lot of guys, they did, like when you had CM Punk, they didn't know what they had, and they just were like, oh, he's a no-name boy. And then it turns out they had like, lightning in the jar, and it's just like, also, okay.
Punk really hated TNA when he worked there.
Of course he did.
Yeah. But he preferred working for Ring of Honor.
Yeah.
So.
Well, see, at that time, TNA and Ring of Honor were like really in sync. They were kind of like almost the same company. They had a lot of the same guys. A lot of TNA
also had the same the same company that leased the ring to Ring of Honor did the same thing for the 6-sided ring with TNA, because you can see the same graphic and everything on the ring posts.
Yeah, sure. If you look at that time, like the CM Punk Raven feud was pretty much carried over from Ring of Honor straight to TNA, and then back to Ring of Honor
together for some reason.
Yeah, it was strange, you know. But that whole time period, 2003, is one that like was great, but also very weird and had no real lasting appeal because they still didn't know what they were. They were pretty much was like a weird kind of mix between WCW and Ring of Honor. Before Ring of Honor actually even got on its feet, you know. It was weird at that time as well. Like IPW out of England had a lot of TNA guys just appearing randomly.
Yeah.
Like Abyss had like loads of matches there and stuff. So it was a strange.
They also kept doing the triple threat between Styles, Daniels, and Joe.
Yeah, they did that a lot. But again, in 2002 to 2003 as well, they had WWA was still a thing. So there were still, you know, that I think actually that's an interesting time period to look at because the fallout from WCW and WWE gimmicks, people were still using gimmicks that they shouldn't have been using. There was still a moral gray area where, oh, this is my creative property, this is not. So like when you look at it, particularly at that time and the guys that were there, they hadn't found what they would become at that point. It was more kind of like, well, this is what we did in TNA, or this is what we did in WWE. You know, it was crazy. It was crazy.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay.
So
yeah, and then the final match was Naomi, Charlotte, or will be Naomi, Charlotte, and Becky Lynch versus Natalya, Carmella, and Tamina. So that's going to be my bathroom break because I've no desire to see that. And then also they mentioned that Breezango, the Ascension, Luke Harper, and all will be there as well. But then they have like strangely, all right. They also have, you know, in this press release, see your favorite WWE superstars including Randy Orton, Finn Balor, AJ Styles, the Hardy Boys, Shinsuke Nakamura, Alexa Bliss, Samoa Joe, Charlotte, Dean Ambrose, Seth Rollins, Roman Reigns. So
yeah, that's just trying to get see the show.
Yeah, like that's not a lot of those aren't going to happen, you know. But the card is pretty much is pretty much set in stone anyway, and it's quite good. So I'm looking forward to it.
One of the best cards I've ever had here.
Oh yeah. It's the second.
Yeah, no, that's definitely one of the better cards that I've seen from them.
It's Thursday the 2nd of November, so I'm pretty much set and going because I as you said, it's one of the best cards that they've had, you know, ever here. So I'm looking forward to that, and that's in the Tree Arena. So guys, if you haven't got your tickets yet, do, and if you're there, you know, let us know what you thought because it's going to be fun. Right, switching gears really quick. Actually, we're going to take a quick break, and then we come back. We'll get into WWE. Okay, guys, and we're back here on Phoenix 92.5 FM, and of course, phoenixfm.ie, YouTube, and of course, WViDesk.com, which is our website. So, Brin, before we get into Hell in a Cell, last month there was a very, very underwhelming pay-per-view, WWE No Mercy. What do you think was good, bad? Did you like any of it? Because personally, I thought a lot of it was lacking.
Yeah, what did I think of No Mercy?
Yeah.
It was tiring and pretty depressing.
It was tiring. And I felt sad. I felt sad after it.
Honestly, I kind of just went into my standard that maybe never want to watch wrestling again. I'm going to watch wrestling that makes me really happy now, just to kind of cleanse. Yeah. So after I watched put on the most recent episode of Lucha Underground, I felt fine. You know.
Exactly. You know, it's. I didn't find it like super offensive. I just was like, oh, WWE, you know, literally standard WWE at that point. It was just total garbage. you know. But it marked the shift
I'll say
because look,
something about moments.
sure, go on.
Um, as much as I hated the fact that Enzo beat Neville, man, have I turned around on that thing? It's like probably the best thing that happened to 205 Live is him winning that belt because
Yeah.
like it's because like um he's become like I think he's actually excelling as a heel. I think he's doing a much better job as a heel than he ever did as a babyface.
See,
He's
that's
so
the
good in the
well. See,
role.
that's the thing that I'm glad there's more belts now, and like it's the case that I always said for the return of like a European title. Well, also because I really enjoy and I'm a total mark for the European title, but having a belt that means something but doesn't mean something, so it's kind of infused with whatever the person holding it brings to it. So it can be the best thing in the world or the worst thing in the world. And when a belt like that
Yeah,
exists, you can really get a competitive storyline out of it. You can get your heels, you can get your baby faces because like there's no real like rule set. You're not restricted by having, oh, this guy needs to look like this guy needs to work like this to get over. It's like no, he's holding a belt that really doesn't mean anything, but to him it means
yeah.
everything.
But like
And,
because of
and
like how he's treated it and how Neville has responded to him,
yes,
it's one
exactly.
of the best things. Like Neville has really turned around the last calendar year from
Yeah.
being a guy who no one really gave a crap about seeing to being one of the best performers in the company
But
in
see,
every capacity.
I think he always was up there. Like he always had the potential to be,
On
from
the
obviously
mic
being
though,
no,
but
not
on
on
the
the
mic
mic.
though, yeah.
Yeah,
But now
well,
he is,
yeah, exactly.
you
Like,
know,
but
like
I
he's a
think,
total package now.
well, he was given the shot. They said, look,
Yeah.
do what you need to do, and again, also being on 205 Live, a show that nobody really cares
Mm.
about. And I'm sorry,
Yeah.
that's
I
harsh to
think
say, but it's true.
I think it was all. I think it's a mixture of like they gave him an opportunity where they went, okay, here's the motivation we think you would have, and then he just ran with it
Yeah.
and decided to chew as much scenery as humanly possible, and has successfully done that. But is
Well,
amazing at it,
Well, man, look,
you
it's
know.
wrestling, and wrestling is, there is, a bit of that was
Yeah,
missing, and I think when that's brought into the table, it's always fun, taking everything super serious all the time is just, it's
yeah.
just not fun for anyone. But
Well,
I will have to
even
say,
that. So it's just this thing I remember from the UK Championship where like
sure,
it just made me belly laugh, but I love it when I loved it when Neville was going. I know why I'm not in this tournament because they wanted to have a competitive tournament, and you're just like, oh my god, you're such a dick. You
yes,
know?
that's amazing. But that's what you need,
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
that's what was missing in the modern product. Now that was kind of the highlight from No Mercy. I didn't I you know I was I
mm.
was glad that was over, but that's complete
It's
difference to Hell in a Cell. I thought
mm.
the book ended, like the beginning of Hell in a Cell and the end of Hell in a Cell were fantastic.
Yeah,
Shane needs to stop doing what he does because it's mad at this
because it's
point.
getting too over.
it, no, it's incredible, but like I don't, getting over and being dead are like, you
Yeah,
know, it's like you be as over as you want, man. But like, eventually your body's gonna catch up with you. He's not a young dude anymore either, but
yeah,
fantastic. Kevin Owens went in and put in a great performance. We knew
yeah.
what Shane could do, and I really enjoyed that match. The opening Hell in a Cell match was really good as well. New
Mm.
Day and
I
the
think the
Usos.
New Day Usos match has to be the best multi-man Hell in a Cell there's been,
Yeah,
in my opinion.
but
Like,
one of the things that kind of really made these matches work were because they actually felt like they were meant
yeah,
to be Hell in the Cell matches.
yeah, but they felt like blood feuds, you know?
Yeah,
The only thing
like
those matches missed was having blood, but they were great. Really, really great.
yeah. Well,
Like,
there's a story here from the Mirror that just popped up, and WWE issue an injury update on Shane McMahon after a 20-foot fall. So this is probably, yeah, this is like properly kayfabe or whatever, but 40-foot sorry, 20-foot cage dive So, they're really running with it. they're really running
Did you
with
see the?
Still be fun. It would still be like remembering Team Hell No, because man, do I remember Team Hell No.
Remember Addicts? Remember? Hey, remember Ghostbusters? Oh, I remember.
I remember that. I remember them. I remember that. Oh, I remember that. Yeah. Dear Lord. There's going to be a lot of remembering. There's a lot of remembering going on here. Don't eat the member berries. Whatever you do, don't eat them. It's for your own good. Before I get into the second main event that was on this pay-per-view, the Raw SmackDown 5-on-5 men's match, I first want to talk about the singles matches. And they were two very interesting singles matches, but it's still... They left me with some weird tastes in my mouth, especially when it comes to the performers in them. I'll start off with the Intercontinental title match involving The Miz and Sami Zayn. It's a fun match. I don't care what anyone says. I love this character that The Miz has of being the Weaselly one, finding his way to get a win at all costs. I don't mind. And the way that he got this win was at one period in the match, Sami Zayn had The Miz locked in the figure four. He's writhing in pain. He looks like he's going to tap out. And then suddenly you hear the ring bell go off, and the camera cuts to find Maurice right there next to the ring bell. Rung the bell, the ref going, hey, I didn't say anything. Sami Zayn thinks he won. The Miz comes behind him, rolls him up for the win. I love that kind of stuff. Don't care what anyone says. That is professional wrestling at its finest. What got me about the match, though, is Sami Zayn in general. At one period before Zayn had The Miz in the figure four, and throughout this match, the story of the match was The Miz working on Zayn's leg, working on his knee in particular, and he's always done this, but Zayn selling the knee the entire time, trying to do the haluva kick, but couldn't sprint at his fullest, wanting to sprint out to leap out of the ring and couldn't really run as fast. He was selling the knee very well. But then he's in the figure four to The Miz, and I don't know if he just could not sell to me how much in pain he really was in. This leg was worked on for 10 minutes of the match, and Zayn just had no difference in facial expressions at all. He's not writhing around in pain. His leg is about to explode, okay? And he's not showing any signs of, well, no, he's trying to grab for the ropes, and he's trying to scrap and everything, but he's not grimacing. He's not yelling. That's the big thing. He's not yelling, okay? He is completely no-selling everything that happened with his leg being in this move that focuses on your leg in the first place. I really, really question what everyone loves about Sami Zayn. Is it his music? Is it his hat? Is it his really cool Titantron with the checkerboard into the wacky block lettering? Is it he's a ginger? Is it that he's an indie guy? I mean, I don't know what it is. Why is he so great? Someone please explain it to me. Okay? Maybe you all listening could email or comment below why Sami Zayn is such a big deal. Please sell me on him. I want to know. I really want to know why he is such a big deal. The second singles match. Brian Kendrick versus Kalisto for the Cruiserweight title. This was another somewhat fun match, seeing the little critters doing their flippy flips and movesy moves and not really working on certain limbs, just doing moves for the sake of doing moves. But it brings a smile to my face to see that the match ended with Baron Corbin running in and blasting Kalisto and Kendrick and just beating them to all hell. I just did not... I love me some Baron Corbin. But because of that, he cost SmackDown getting the entire Cruiserweight division. And Daniel Bryan made that known backstage after the match. And Baron Corbin's reasoning is just great when he says, We don't need any little runts and little pests in SmackDown. He hates Kalisto, and he sure as hell didn't want any more of them running around SmackDown. The Baron Corbin character is a wonder and a treasure to behold. Some guy who just doesn't give a damn about who anyone else is, where they're from, or what the greater good is for where he is. I still cannot get over his promo video in NXT versus Samoa Joe and him exclaiming that, I had a scholarship to college to play football. They paid me to go to college and play sports for them. I am here to make money. That has been his character. It has never gone away, never lost its sheen, and it's still paying dividends. It really is great. It is a great character.
This is 92.5 Phoenix FM, community radio for Dublin 15.
Broadcasting from the Blanchardstown Centre, this is Phoenix FM.
See that photo? Someone talk about how close Shane was to hitting Kevin.
No.
Like how? Oh my God! It's like the timing on that was like very, very precise, because like if Kevin was like any slower getting up, he would have got hit by Shane anyway.
Well, they're saying that like he has neck trauma, fractured ribs, and dislocated shoulder. I don't know if that's true or not. It is. It just kind of sound pretty kayfabe, but it didn't look like he was sore the next day getting up. Let's put it that way. There's no way you walk away from that, and do it the next day. But really, really solid match. I did not think I'd enjoy it as much as I would.
I think
honestly.
My only problem with it was when they were on top of the cage, I felt like that bit went on a bit too long, but that's like tiny marks away at that point. Match was so good.
Yeah, it was one of the best Hell in a Cell matches I've seen in a long time.
In recent memory, for sure.
A match that I did not think I would enjoy, a match that I wasn't necessarily looking forward to, but then, and that's only because of the Shane McMahon not Hell in a Cell match, WrestleMania match with Taker. That was a Hell in a Cell match, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah. See, so forgettable.
But you have to remember as well, like, yeah. But you have to remember is that like, like they were expecting Taker to carry a person younger than him.
Yeah.
Like whereas like Kevin was able to carry Shane, and even then, I mean, like, because Shane is a McMahon and has to perform.
Yeah.
To
be fair,
carrying is not difficult.
There wasn't much, as you said, there wasn't much carrying in that match. I think Shane. Yeah. Proved he didn't have to prove anything. Like, we knew he was great, but like this was a whole new level kind of thing, and it's weird to think that like Raw produces shows that pay-per-views that are incredibly boring. No Mercy was probably one of the worst shows of the past 10 years, easy. Like no contest, at least in the top 5. Just boring as anything. And then SmackDown comes around, the quote B show, and produces this, and it's just out of this world. So, guys, if you haven't seen it, watch it. You will enjoy it. Even watch the first and last match, and don't watch the middle part of it. We are going to cover pay-per-views a little bit more extensively when we don't have like a huge backlog, but we will sort it out, guys. It's just bear with us while we kind of hit all these points. And before we go,
what did you think of the what did you think of the whole Sami Zayn heel turn thing?
Welcome. You know my feelings on Sami Zayn. I think he's literally the most boring person on the planet. Like, so I'm glad he has some character now.
Yeah. Well, I think
or motivations.
Like he's always like Sami's not like isn't a natural heel the same way Kevin is, but I've seen him work heel and he's competent. But I've always ever seen him work heel when he's been paired with Kevin. And
yeah, and that's kind of what they're doing now, isn't it?
Yeah. But I mean, like, the thing is that if he's going to be this more aggressive Sammy, might see that brainbuster at the turnbuckle now.
Yeah, like I think
That would be so cool.
Well, Sammy has been a face his whole WWE career,
Yeah.
and it's connected, it's worked, but it's put him in this position where he's like, oh, I've only done this, and people are kind of like, okay,
The problem is he sells so well, and it's the thing that happens to every babyface and to every heel who's good at selling, is that like you sell too well, so like you just become a bump machine.
True, but the thing about it is, it's like, the same thing happened with Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins is a bump machine, and he get over it. It's just, this allows growth for the character, and then, who knows, Sammy, after the end of this, could be actually world champion or universal champion material, because right now he's not.
I don't think he's ever going to be world champion material. He's kind of like that guy who always gets really close and never does. He
That's
wins
what I'm saying.
mid-card titles, but like
he does. But no, there's nothing wrong with it. But if they give him a good heel run and he gets over someone who can actually do it, because look, that happened with Triple H. Triple H, was a mid-card guy, and after that heel run, it really established him, and he became, pretty much over a year, he became like the game. And this is before he married Stephanie and all that, BS. This was his own merit, and I think it's one of those things that people don't get, because we haven't seen something like that in years. Particularly if you're a new fan, we haven't seen something where, Triple H not Triple H, where someone can actually build themselves in that way, and that's what we're seeing. That's what we can see with Sami Zayn. And
Daniel
that happens,
but
Daniel Bryan wasn't a heel. Daniel Bryan
was. When he started doing the Yes chants, he was a heel.
Yeah, but not like a killer heel, not someone who would go out and it was just his whiny heel.
Daniel Bryan's also not a killer, at least not in WWE. He was on the Indies, but then he was
on the Indies, yeah. But like, you know what I mean? It's a different kind of edge. With Sammy working with Kevin.
I don't think that's Sammy, to be honest, man. Like, watching him on the Indies, watching him here, I don't think that's in him.
Well, we'll see. Worst case scenario, it ends up being a failure, and then we have the match with Sammy and Kevin, which is going to happen anyway. It'll probably happen at WrestleMania, or something like that, where they have their breakup and Sammy ends up becoming.
I kind of hope they do it like not this WrestleMania coming, but the one after it.
I think that's what they do. I think that's what I think there'll be a good year build anyway, good year and a half build, and that's probably what's going to happen. But speaking of which, and I do want to get this before we finish up, because this is like the story. This is the thing we opened up the show with. The Shield has reunited, and this is something that we were expecting to happen as a year, 2 years ago when they broke up. It was, when's the Shield reunion?
Yeah, because they broke up. People were like, when are they going to come?
Yeah, because they broke up so quickly that everybody was like, they were still super over, and everybody like loves the Shield. And it's so funny, they still love the Shield to the point that Roman Reigns went from being booed to doing the exact same thing, but being super over. Like, instantly, the Shield again has just become the biggest face group on Raw. In a sentence, and I was happy to see Shield. That music again, still, even though Roman Reigns has been using a bastardized version of it, it still means something. It's still kind of cool. I don't know why they decided to just pull the trigger on this now. Is it? And that's my question for you, Brin. Did they pull the trigger on this because the only one who's actually like over at that point was Seth Rollins, and they were worried about Dean Ambrose doing nothing, just kind of being space junk, and then worried about Roman Reigns falling deeper and deeper into the hole, particularly with his horrible series with John Cena. There was really nowhere else for these guys to go, or for these guys to do. And it's kind of sad for Seth where he's kind of going back, but I don't know. What do you make of this?
I think. Well, okay. So the word around the campfire, as far as I've been hearing, is that Roman is going to be fighting against Brock at Mania. And I think this is just something to tide over and probably build towards Mania for him.
Right.
And I don't know, man. I'm not like, it's cool seeing them, but it's also like they're fighting a tag team and The Miz.
Yeah.
Okay,
But,
great. Like,
no, but
if,
again, I think it does kind of go back to their debut, where they debuted fighting a tag team and someone else. It wasn't
yeah,
Miz, but I
yeah.
think
But I think,
narratively it fits.
yeah. But I think for them as a trio, it would be more interesting if it was them go like if it was like, say if it was like something like the Wyatt family, or if they finally pull the trigger on the Bullet Club.
Yeah.
You know,
Which they might do.
if it was something like that, then it'd be like, okay, cool. There's also talk of Samoa Joe getting a little faction.
Well, that could happen. And one thing
But have you heard who the faction would be?
No, go on.
Joe and Authors of Pain.
Oh, that's good. I like that.
Yeah,
I like that.
yeah.
But one thing watching Raw this week. One thing watching Raw this week, and I don't know if you got the same feeling or not. They are building a lot of factions. They are planting a lot of seeds. We had Sister Abigail. That was a really, really cool kind of promo with Finn.
That sucked. Sorry, I thought that sucked. I thought it was really bad.
Well, it's the only place they can really go with those two, and I think embracing the cheesiness of it works. So look, it depends who Sister Abigail is.
Yeah.
It all depends.
For the segment itself, it's not going to work, but yeah, the idea of Sister Abigail would be really cool.
Also, Finn is getting better on the mic, but they shouldn't have him on the mic for that long because it's a bit cringy. I know. I like the fact that they're actually like trying with these guys, and it's something that it's like at this point, it's like if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. They're just gonna be floating, but they are planting seeds. I also like what they're doing about Asuka. Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah, no, I can't. It kind of gives hope to this idea that they might do right by her.
Yeah,
I kind of hope that when she debuts, they announce her fight record.
They should. They really need to build her as an absolute monster
Just
who is
like
going
that
to
fight record bigger than Goldberg's now.
Yes, exactly.
Like, it'd just be so cool. Have her go in there against like Emma or someone of that size and just destroy them.
Yeah, because there's stuff that needs to happen there, and if it doesn't happen, they will drop the ball. But SmackDown is the better show, and that's clear. But Raw has a lot of potential narratively that they can do.
Raw has stars, and SmackDown has stories. Is kind of how it goes.
And SmackDown has wrestling as well. But
Raw has wrestling too, but it's just
it's shorter and less good.
When you've got crap stories, it's not the best.
But what has me hopeful about pretty much everything now on Raw, like consuming Raw as a half-an-hour show to a 40-minute show compared to a 3-hour show makes everything so much better, guys. Yeah. I don't know. Raw does not need to be 3 hours. Raw does not need to be 2 hours. In like under an hour is a perfect time for Raw. Anyway, but that's neither here nor there. The point of this is with Raw, for the first time in a long time, I'm actually excited about it because they seem to have some sort of plan. They seem to actually kind of know what they're doing, or at least have some kind of concept for what they're doing, rather than just throwing what at the wall.
They're actually building to a Mania again.
Yeah, and how long has it been? How long has it been since that happened?
The last time it happened was like Evolution, I think.
Yeah, like that's nearly 10 years. Nearly 10 years.
First time around, over 10 years, closer to 15.
Whoa, we're getting old, man.
Yes.
Yeah, that's crazy. But it's one thing now that getting back to basics, getting back to what took them to the dance, getting back to the fact that, hey, look, we have stars, but the stars are going. The only way people are going to buy this show and have interest is if we cultivate these stars. And, bringing back the Shield is a good kind of point that we've crested this wave here. No Mercy showed a lot of things. It really kind of underscored what doesn't work, and relying on older stars, relying on just throwing out the stars purely because they're stars. It's like if everything is special, nothing is. And the problem with Raw is nothing felt special for a very, very long time. Now stuff kind of does. There is that feeling that hasn't been on Raw in a while. So that's everything that
Well, I think
I thought anyway.
I think like for WWE to kind of gain any kind of traction in terms of like positive reviews, it just needs to kind of embrace out the fact that it's a niche thing.
Yeah.
It's never. I don't think we're ever going to see the heights of the Attitude Era again. I don't think it matters who's champion. Like, I think they'd be doing just as well in ratings and stuff if Cesaro was champion.
Yeah.
Rather than
look
Brock,
at Jinder Mahal. Right, Jinder Mahal has not been an amazing champion, but that didn't matter.
He's actually been a very poorly performing champion.
Yeah, that didn't matter. SmackDown still became the show that people watch WWE for right now. And I would say that, look, continuing in the vein now, we're obviously going to be covering this more and more and more as it goes on, because we are getting towards Survivor Series and then into WrestleMania season, so things are really going to start heating up. But it's all I'd say for anyone who listens to the show or listens to wrestling podcasts in general and doesn't watch wrestling, get back into it. Things seem to be picking up, and I'm looking forward to it for the first time in a while. I'm actually enthusiastic to talk about wrestling. But that's going to do it for
because that's what a Survivor Series to look forward to for the first time.
Yes, exactly. And War Games is coming back, which oh my god, we need to do a live show for War Games, because oh man, we should do like a retrospective of War Games. I don't want to talk about it now because that's something that you guys are going to be sick of hearing for next month until it happens. Brin, you're going to go mad, because War Games, we've been pushing War Games for like years, and I don't talk about it now. We'll talk about it down the line. But we have run out of time, Brin, for this week. But really quick before we go, we did mention at the top of the show that there's loads of new content coming, so I don't want to give that away yet, but do you want to talk about that, or do you want to leave it until we have stuff nailed down?
I'm going to leave it until we have stuff. Like it'll pop up on the Twitter and on the YouTube for the fine folks, so they can check it out when
the best thing to
it's
do
out.
is subscribe to WViDesk 2016 on YouTube, on Twitter, WViDesk on Twitter, Facebook, all that kind of stuff, and that's where you'll hear it as well and see it when it pops up. And we will kind of talk about that more when it gets to release date and all that kind of stuff, and when it's realized. But Brin, is there anything you'd like to plug before we say goodbye?
Yeah, I'm going to plug my favorite podcast of the week. It is Common Sense with Dan Carlin. It's a political podcast. He does one every 3 months. And it's a nice hour where he kind of just riffs on the most recent political events. It's really, really good. So, yeah, also check out his other podcast, Hardcore History.
Nice. I am actually going to be checking those out tomorrow because I need more podcasts. I'm going to plug OSW Review. Also fellow Irish guys. They've recently just done they finished off their Black Rain series. So
those poor men.
Yeah, they did Bound for Glory 2007. So go over and check that out. Those guys are hilarious. And yeah, that's what I'm going to plug this week. And of course, my Twitter is @DarraghWV. And the website, don't forget, WViDesk.com, where you can get all of this stuff. The website's brand new, it's fully responsive, no matter what device you use, you'll be able to get it. Our RSS feed is there, and of course, if you don't want to do any of that, make sure you subscribe to the Rest of You Media feed on iTunes, because that's where all the podcasts from myself, from Brin stuff, and then Athem stuff, and all that kind of everything's there. But yeah, guys, thank you so much for listening in, and we'll see you next week.